NFL Week 1 has arrived. Dan Graziano from Indianapolis, Jeff Darlington from Jacksonville, home dogs, road favorites. We've got you covered for every single game yet to be played in Week 1. That's Tyler Fulghum. I'm Joe Fortenbaugh. Welcome to your Sunday morning edition of Bet. This guy right here, you want a little peek behind the scenes, spent the last 90 minutes locked away building DFS lineups for the ages. You ready for the show?
Yeah, my preparation was spent mostly on daily fantasy, so apologies in advance if my mind wanders elsewhere. But I'm ready to rock, baby. Football's back.
YouTube is where you can find a lot of additional content. Our channel, youtube.com/ESPN Sports Betting. Without further ado, let's get to work and let's begin with the biggest line movements that have taken place since the numbers hit the board up until this morning. Take a look at Seattle and Indianapolis, a 5.5-point move. That game was Indy minus 2.5. And then Quentin Nelson needed surgery, Carson Wentz needed surgery, and moved 5.5 points. But Quentin Nelson and Carson Wentz are expected to play today. Go figure.
Yeah, again, just a question mark around Wentz, even if he was healthy. Is he returning to form? And then Quentin Nelson, great guard. We'll see if the foot holds up, but I do like the Seattle side there.
Big movement with New England, despite the fact that Mac Jones gets to start and Cam Newton. You surprised by any of these at all?
No, not really. I'm not too surprised by a lot of them. There's reason to explain the line movement in all of these games. The game I feel most comfortable about, despite the movement, is Denver. I think their defense is going to be a massive mismatch for Jason Garrett and Daniel Jones on offense.
The biggest move of all was the aforementioned Seattle-Indianapolis showdown in Indianapolis. 5.5 points from open until now. Dan Graziano, ESPN NFL Insider, is on the scene in Indianapolis. What's the health of this Colts roster, Dan?
After a tough offseason, the Colts come into their opener pretty healthy. Carson Wentz is back from his foot surgery, ready to start at quarterback. Quentin Nelson is back from his foot surgery, ready to start at guard. They're still down a left tackle. Eric Fisher not all the way back from that Achilles injury yet, ready to go. So they're going with a backup there, Julian Davenport. But on offense, they're basically healthy. On defense, they're down starting cornerback Xavier Rhodes. And I'm speaking to people here, that is obviously a concern against Russell Wilson and those tough Seattle receivers. But in terms of scoring points, the Colts feel like they're going to be in pretty good shape, Joe.
Graziano looking sharp to start the season. So, Seattle, one of 5 road favorites on the card for NFL Week 1. Let's pick those games, and let's begin with that game. Indianapolis is catching 3, meaning Seattle's a 3-point favorite. Total of 49. How would you play it?
I'm going to play, I like the Seattle side because of something that Dan mentioned there. And I'm going to isolate even further for my most confident pick in this game, the fact that Xavier Rhodes is out, and that is a massive concern for that Indy defense against DK Metcalf, who is ready to maybe enter that echelon of, the Julio Jones of the world, the DeAndre Hopkins, the elite receivers in the NFL. Again, massive mismatch. We know that Shane Waldron, coming from LA and now going to Seattle, is going to push tempo with the Seattle offense. It's not just let Russ cook, but let Russ cook quickly. Let that offense go. So he's got a prop DK Metcalf of 77.5 yards. I'm going over that. There's no one in that secondary with Rhodes out who's a big-bodied receiver who I think can match up with DK Metcalf. I think Seattle wins on the strength of Russell Wilson's arm and the passing options. Therefore, I like over 77.5 yards for DK Metcalf.
Agree with the assessment that the Rhodes injury is huge. Here's the thing that stands out to me, though. When this first hit the board, it was Indianapolis minus 2.5. Carson Wentz needed foot surgery. Quentin Nelson needed foot surgery. The line moved 5.5 points to Seattle minus 3. Wentz is going to play. Nelson's going to play. And no adjustment to the line. I feel like despite the Rhodes injury, there is still some value now with Indianapolis, considering they were a top 10 defense last year. Not a play I love. Give me the Colts plus the 3 points. I think this line has moved too far and should have been adjusted back at least a little bit, but we'll see how this thing plays out. Game number 2, when it comes to road favorites. Minnesota laying 3, total of 47. They're in Cincinnati taking on the Bengals.
I'm going to play the road favorite here. I think Minnesota will cover this 3 points. We know what they bring on offense. Dalvin Cook, Justin Jefferson, Adam Thielen. Invested a little bit in the offensive line to help out Kirk Cousins. And Cincinnati's not bringing a potent defense to this matchup. However, Minnesota is expecting to have a much more formidable defense with all the investment they made via the draft and, of course, free agency and trades. Patrick Peterson, all new guys next to Daniil Hunter on that defensive line. Mike Zimmer was thoroughly ticked off with the performance last year, and we know Zimmer wants to have a strong defense. Against that Cincinnati offensive line that still has some question marks around how they're going to protect Joe Burrow despite the weapons he has there, I think Minnesota on both sides of the ball is better than the Natty. I'll lay the 3.
First one in the NFL season.
Here we
Little
go.
roulette bet. I will take Cincinnati in this matchup plus the points. It's actually, and we work with Caesars, but if you look at some other books, 2.5 is the line as Cincinnati money has come in. Mike Zimmer made no bones about it. He was not happy at all with the way his offense played in the preseason. They averaged 13 points per game, and they went 9 for 40 on third down. I think there's a problem in that locker room. I think there's a rift. Kirk Cousins has not won anything. Doesn't want to take the vaccine, fine, but I think there are guys in that locker room that resent him for it. It feels like the tension is building in Minnesota. No one backed Minnesota more than me about 6 weeks ago. I thought they were a prime candidate to surge this season, and now, after everything I've seen, I don't like them at all. I can't make much of a case for Cincinnati. There are a lot of issues, but the fact that the line is moving this game stinks for me. Vikings coming outside the dome. Give me the Bengals plus the 3. Game number 3, the Jacksonville Jaguars, as they say when they're trying to sell you a car across the pond, laying 3.5, total of 45.5 in Houston to take on the Texans. Game of the week, some would say.
A game of the week for me. Jacksonville is my survivor/eliminator pick. I'm going to pick on the Houston Texans all season long. I've made no bones about the fact that I'll be shocked if they win one game this season. And this is probably the most likely in terms of probability that they can win on the schedule against a Jacksonville team that was 1-15 a season ago. But I'm looking at the team total for the Texans. How are they going to score points? Deshaun Watson ain't quarterback in this team. Tyrod Taylor's a good NFL backup quarterback. I'm not sure what he brings to the table in terms of being able to inspire an offense in 2021. They don't have a good stable of running backs. They don't have a good stable of pass catchers. I think they're going to struggle to score a 21.5 total. I don't see 3 touchdowns coming from this team. Plus, still 2 maybe. But 1 more likely. I'm going under 21.5 against Jacksonville's defense.
I hate this game. I hate this game because if I have to pick this game or bet this game, that means I have to at least keep an eye on this game. And I don't want to keep an eye on this game because there are so many better games out there. But in the interest of making the bet, if I'm going to do it, I'm going to go against the line move. Roulette bet number 2 of the day. I'll take Houston.
Nikes.
I don't have a great case here, America, and I'm going to be completely honest with you. I look at Jacksonville and I see a rookie quarterback. I see a rookie head coach. I see a bad offensive line. I see them traveling to play a divisional opponent on the road to open the season, and they're laying 3 in the hook. Money's on Jacksonville. Line moves on Jacksonville. I'll take Houston. And I'm going to burn this footage if Jacksonville wins and covers this game. I'm never going to come back and say I really like this pick, but for the sake of discussing it, if I was making a play here, it would be Houston. Although survivor-wise, Jacksonville, talk about the you-know-what's on this pal.
The second time in 8 minutes of this show that you have used as your analysis, I don't really like much in this game. On the side I'm betting, I don't really like much, but I'm going to bet that side anyway.
Very small wagers on these games. I promise you some big ones are coming. Game number 4, when it comes to road favorites on Sunday's card, San Francisco laying 8.5, total at 46. They're in Detroit taking on Jared Goff and the Lions.
Yeah, I have under 46 here, thinking that mostly San Francisco will be contributing to the total, and Detroit will not be able to do much with that offense that doesn't inspire much confidence. Jared Goff, no receivers really to throw to. TJ Hawkins is his best pass-catching option. The San Francisco 49ers have a finally healthy defense now, and it's always been a great defense there outside of last year with all the injuries. So as long as Detroit doesn't somehow score 4 touchdowns, I think this goes under. I will
4
say
touchdowns for Detroit.
That would be a miracle. I will say we just learned recently that Trey Sermon is going to be inactive for this game. So maybe another way to wager Raheem Mostert overs, attempts, rushing yards. I thought Sermon was going to get his fair share of touches, but now that he's inactive, it's going to be the Mostert must-start show if you're playing fantasy because he is going to be relied on as, I think, the key cog for that San Francisco offense. Shanahan loves running the rock against a Detroit team that's overmatched.
In mid-season form already, I will lay the big number with San Francisco. I think they make, until they get to 9, an excellent 6-point teaser play, but I'll lay the 8.5 as well. Get ready, America. You're about to find out what the real Jared Goff looks like. Not the one who has Sean McVay reading the defense for him and then changing the play for him. Not the one who has the loaded Rams arsenal. Not the one who has the great Rams defense backing him up when he's not on the field. This is Jared Goff in his purest form. He doesn't have great coaching. He doesn't have a great arsenal around him. He's going to struggle against this defense, which is going to be coming after him. I wouldn't be surprised if the Niners as a team run for over 200 yards today. With all the motion and mixed direction, this offense is coming for you. They're coming for you. San Francisco in a blowout in this game. All right, final one. The Denver Broncos in New York. They're laying a field goal, total of 41.5 against Big Blue and Daniel Jones.
Don't let the low total scare you. The strength of both of these teams is defense. The Broncos get Von Miller back. Vic Fangio, game planning and scheming against Jason Garrett and Daniel Jones. Massive advantage for Denver there. And even on the other side, I think Vic Fangio is going to look at his offense led by Teddy Bridgewater and say, guys, if we get 17, 20 points, we can win this game because of what our defense will do to Daniel Jones, his propensity to turn the rock over. I love the under here, even though it's low. I think this is a 17-14 type of game.
I like the call of going to Teddy Bridgewater at quarterback for the Broncos, but I got to see it to really get behind it. Laying 3 on the road to open the season, pass. I'll play the under at 41.5 here. Giants have a much better defense than people give them credit for. Von Miller back on that Denver defense. I think they're going to be a top 10 unit this year. Ultimately, with Teddy Bridgewater, you have a guy who's going to manage the game and not turn it over as much as Drew Lock did. Under 41.5. This one has like 17-10 written all over it. Now that is a coverage of all the road favorites. There's only one game this weekend that features 2 road teams, and that would be the neutral site game in Jacksonville between the New Orleans Saints, who are hosting the Green Bay Packers. For more on that, we go to Jeff Darlington, ESPN NFL insider, who is on location. Jeff, you look fantastic. Thank you for joining us today. We have not seen Jameis Winston as a starting quarterback in the NFL since that magical 2019 season where he put together 30 touchdowns and 30 interceptions, hopefully earning himself his own 30 for 30. What is the plan in New Orleans to cut down on the Winston turnovers now that he's quarterbacking the Saints?
Well, first of all, let's talk about the fact that this system with Sean Payton is very different than the one he played in with Bruce Arians, where, by the way, at the start of last season, Tom Brady also struggled with some of those interceptions until he started to impose his own will. Jameis Winston, I was talking to Sean Payton, the Saints head coach, about him, and he said that last week he was sitting next to him on the bus. They were driving from practice back to the hotel in Dallas where they're practicing, and he said Jameis asked him this question that was very sophisticated about game planning each week for each opponent. And he said Peyton believes that Winston is starting to understand that you can really win games with your mind as much as you can with your arm. Not to think about things in terms of each play, but in terms of strategy against each opponent. And I think that there's just something there, a more sophisticated player in New Orleans that really should cut down on these picks. We'll find out. We'll see. But right now, there is a lot of optimism in that direction in New Orleans.
Jeff, in the other locker room, you have the reigning MVP at quarterback, Aaron Rodgers. And, of course, his offseason was, all in the headlines. Would he be in Green Bay? Would he be elsewhere? He stays in Green Bay, but by all accounts, this is his version of his last dance. He is done with the Packers after this season. So what is the vibe with his Packer teammates? Are they dismissive of Rodgers because they know this is it? Or are they kind of all in together knowing this is our last chance to win with him?
So all that positive stuff I just said about Jameis and the Saints, go ahead and throw it out because we got to talk about the Packers. I was talking to head coach Matt LaFleur, and I was saying to him, how was this offseason in terms of your relationship with Aaron Rodgers, how it is now? And he said, 100% we are closer because of it. Another assistant coach told me that Aaron Rodgers has been an unbelievable leader through training camp, that there is a different energy, a different tone. Rodgers himself said it feels different. There is this sense that it's like the last dance in the sense that Rodgers doesn't feel pressure, but he said he feels focus. So there's a vibe in Green Bay right now that I don't think that we should ignore. And I'm curious, what's the line that you guys have right now for this game? What is that? -3.5?
3.5.
3.5, okay? Like, I understand the Packers' offensive line is young, a little bit different. We'll see how they handle this. But they're in a stadium right now. I've seen a lot of Packers fans around here. I don't think the Saints are going to have a home field advantage at all. And I'm telling you, this Packers team, 3.5, to me, I think the Packers are going to come out very, very strong.
I swear to God, if he decided to get into acting, Jeff Darlington would make an excellent Clark Kent. He looks just like him. He joins us from Jacksonville. Thanks, Jeff. Have a great day. We appreciate it.
Thank you.
I'm not kidding, and I'm not pandering to him. He looks exactly like Clark Kent. He really does.
Got to put the rims on, the shades on. But yeah, I agree with you.
Marquette can get LASIK, although then people would recognize him as Superman because the glasses apparently is what throws everybody off. Let's pick it. Green Bay Packers laying 3.5. Total of 49.5. Neutral site game in Jacksonville. Saints are the home team. Take it away.
I have under 49.5 here. I think this is going to be a slower paced game than some of the other contests we'll see with totals at or above or near 50. I agree with Darlington as well. If I'm playing a side, I'm sorry, I'm not going to the Saints side. In Aaron, I trust. I'll lay that 3.5 because I think there's a great point about the loss of home field advantage for the Saints going from the Dome to a neutral site, even though it could be humid and hot down there for Green Bay. There's going to be more Packer fans in Jacksonville than there are Saints fans because Packer fans are just everywhere in this great nation. So I like the Packer side. I'll lean to the under 49.5. Just because I don't think the Packers will need to score a lot against this Saints team that is compromised currently offensively. I know Jameis looked good in the preseason, but there's no Michael Thomas. There's little behind Alvin Kamara after they let go of Latavius Murray, some unproven commodities there. So I see this game being Packers win like 27-20. It's close. 27-17. I think the Packers also have a little bit better defense than we give them credit for, winning 13 games each of the last 2 years and going to the NFC. Are you really reaching for it again?
Yeah, that's 3.
Wow.
This is a tough one.
Yeah,
I think as you lay it out, you realize as well, this is a very tough game to handicap. A lot of moving parts, a lot of new variables in play. I like the over. I think it benefits Green Bay greatly that this game is moving to Jacksonville because without David Bakhtiari along the offensive line, they were going to be very vulnerable in the Voodoo Dome with all the crowd noise, giving the Saints defensive line that fractional second advantage to fire off the ball and get after Aaron Rodgers. Now you take the crowd noise out of it, you move it to Jacksonville. I think the Packers are able to eat a little bit more robustly, a little bit healthier on offense as they try to move the ball down the field. And I am going to start the season by buying into Jameis Winston and the Saints offense. I'm going to buy in. Not that they win or score 40, just cover your business, cover your end of the 49.5. Let the Packers do the rest. Get the over. I'm trying to make some of these chips back. My stat is dwindling.
I'll throw you some back if we have some more disagreements throughout the show.
Let's pick some underdogs. A little segment we like to call Big Dog, Little Dog. Here's how it plays. A big dog in this segment is classified as any underdog of 3.5 or more points. We will each pick our favorite big dog. We will then give you our favorite little dog, which is any underdog underdog by 3 or fewer points. If you didn't follow that,
makes sense.
The examples alone should be able to take you through it. So let's start big dog, a dog of 3.5 or more. Who do you like?
Cleveland Browns, and this is coming the Cleveland Browns' way in KC, down to 5 now. Of course, they have to win this game outright, but I think they can do that against the Kansas City Chiefs. Despite Patrick Mahomes and betting against him, which is always scary, he's been great in September in his career. I don't think he's ever lost a game in September, and the fact they got to go on the road here. I just think the Browns have the personnel, if they execute their scheme to their liking, to hang with a team like the Kansas City Chiefs. They can dominate the line of scrimmage. They can run the football. That keeps Patrick Mahomes on the bench. And they upgraded, which was already a pretty good defense last year, led by Myles Garrett. They upgraded significantly with the talent around him. John Johnson, Troy Hill coming in. The drafting they've done on that side of the ball. Those guys are healthy now. I just think they have a good shot in KC as any team in the AFC, maybe outside of the Buffalo Bills. So of the big dogs, take the Browns.
Completely agree. We've been at odds today. Completely agree. Cleveland can run the ball. They can run the ball, and Kansas City was 21st in opponent yards per carry. If you can run the ball, you can keep Mahomes off the field. Agreed. I would also play for my big dog, the Pittsburgh Steelers plus 6.5. Don't tell my wife, card-carrying member of Bill's Mafia, as well as so many other people that I tend to offend every time I pick against them. This isn't so much a pick against the Bills. They're a fantastic football team. This is just too many points to lay against Mike Tomlin and the Pittsburgh Steelers. Mike Tomlin, by the way, 40-21 against the spread in his career as an underdog. He thrives in this role. That's 65% against the spread. That is the type of thing that's going to put money in your pocket. Rebuild offensive line. Najee Harris at running back is going to be an upgrade. A slimmer Ben Roethlisberger. Let's not go too far. Still carrying some pounds because he is Big Ben after all. But you throw all that together, I think this is going to be a very tight football game in Buffalo. Bills probably win this game, but I think it's going to come down to the end. Yep. Give me 6.5. Yep. That's going to be the play. Little dogs, an underdog of 3 or fewer. What's your favorite?
Well, this has almost gotten to a field goal game. It's been a pick-'em throughout the week. It was a 1-point dog when I made this pick. It's my biggest coin flip game on the slate. The LA Chargers in Washington against the football team. Now up to 2.5. It's getting dangerously close to that field goal. But again, I think this is going to be a low-scoring, defensive-dominated game. Despite the fact that I like both of these teams for this season long-term, I think the Chargers overachieve relative to the market. I think Washington football team is the team to beat in that NFC East, despite what Dallas showed us with their offense led by that defense. So a game that could be 17-17, 20-20, coin flip game. I'll take the Chargers because I do think, even though Justin Herbert will have to adjust to playing in front of a loud crowd for the first time in his...
Justin Herbert?
I like what you did there. But this is the first time he's going to play in front of a crowd. I think there's some possible regression for Herbert. However, I think we're underestimating how dominant this LA Chargers defense could be with Brandon Staley pulling the trigger. Look what he did with the Rams last year. And the Chargers essentially have the same thing, like 90% of it. They have Derwin James, who's an all-everything defensive back like Jalen Ramsey, and they have Joey Bosa, who's an all-everything defensive lineman like Aaron Donald. I think Ramsey and Donald are slightly better, but that is nothing to sneeze at on the other side of LA. And with Staley in an innovative defense, I think their defense could steal this game even more so than the Washington defense could from Justin Herbert.
I think while you were making the pick of the Chargers, you did a great job of also picking the under. The way you laid that out.
I love the under.
Under's a good bet there as well. I like what you're doing. I think you can go with Arizona here if you want. I think that's going to be a solid play. I think Cincinnati's a solid play as well. Ultimately, I'll take the Indianapolis Colts for all the mentions or all the reasons I mentioned earlier in the show. There was a 5.5-point move because of the Wentz and Quentin Nelson injuries. Both guys are going to play. So if they're both going to play, the line should have moved back at least a little bit. Now, Xavier Rhodes is out, as my colleague mentioned earlier. That hurts. But to get 3 at home with a good defense, and Carson Wentz, a quarterback, if he's healthy, he is, I believe, not everyone, but I believe he's an upgrade over Phillip Rivers from last year. I think he can make some plays in this offense. And I just don't buy into Seattle. Russell Wilson was trying to get traded this offseason very, very passive-aggressively, but he still was trying to get out. I think there could be some problems lurking. Give me the Colts plus the 3. I think it's too many points for a team with that kind of talent coaching at home. Next segment, Armchair Quarterback. There are 2 rookie quarterbacks that will be making their debuts this week. We have one.
These chairs for the studio. Oh.
It's like the Queen.
That's nice.
The Queen and the King. I could be Philip.
Nice
rest in peace.
pattern.
I got into what's it called? The Crown, just as he passed away. So you really got into the character, but that's neither here nor there. This is an NFL show, and that is one ugly chair, to be completely honest with you. So here's how it works. The rookies who are making their debut, those are the games we're picking. And we begin with Zach Wilson and the New York Jets. They are in Carolina taking on the Panthers. Panthers are laying 3.5. The total is 44.5. How would you attack this one?
I think that's too low. I think we got shootout potential here. This is not the New York Jets of Adam Gase and Sam Darnold. This is Zach Wilson, who's got, I'm not saying he's Aaron Rodgers, but he got some Aaron Rodgers in his game. They bring in Corey Davis. They draft Elijah Moore. I think this offense is going to be way more explosive and effective than we've seen in recent years. Then on the other side, Sam Darnold is no longer being coached by Adam Gase. He gets the tutelage of Joe Brady and Matt Rule. He has DJ Moore, Robbie Anderson, Terrace Marshall, and a healthy Christian McCaffrey at his disposal. Good. I like that. The Carolina Panthers tried to upgrade on defense, the drafting of J.C. Horn, but I'm going to believe it when I see it there. On the other side, Robert Saleh, a great defensive mind, but Carl Lawson, their top pass rusher, gone for the season. Jared Davis, middle linebacker, out until week 7. They're exposed. They're soft on defense in terms of personnel because of injury issues on that side. So I think we could have a Darnold-Wilson shootout type game here, a 28-27 type of game, a 31-28 type of game in Carolina with the rookie Zach Wilson and Sam Darnold going toe-to-toe.
This is going to be awkward. Not because I'm picking against you, because I'm not, but I am taking the Panthers and laying the points in this one. But part of the reason is because of the Carolina defense. This is also my survivor play. So if you don't hear from me for a week, should this go south, you'll know why, as I am the king of getting eliminated in week 1. Carolina has a better defense than people realize. Matt Rule was a rookie head coach last year during a pandemic. He didn't get the traditional offseason, the workouts, the OTAs, and all that stuff. And he inherited the league's 31st ranked scoring defense. By the way, their best player, Luke Kuechly, retired from that unit. And he transformed it into the 18th best scoring defense. Not anything to write home about, but that is a significant improvement. And then they went out this offseason and they spent a first-round pick on a rookie corner in J.C. Horn, as Tyler mentioned. They signed Hassan Reddick at linebacker. Matt Rule is a defensive-minded head coach. This defense is going to be better. McCaffrey's back. Darnold's away from Gase. There's a lot to like here. There's some injury issues with the Jets' wide receiving unit and the secondary. It's going to take some time. The Jets are moving in the right direction, but I would lay the points with Carolina here. I think they're one of the most undervalued teams in the NFL entering the season. The other game that will feature a rookie quarterback making his debut, the New England Patriots and Mac Jones laying 3.5 with a total of 43.5 against the Miami Dolphins, a good old-fashioned AFC East showdown.
Another low total, but don't be afraid. I like the under here. We have two unproven quarterbacks. Mac Jones almost as much as Tua Tagovailoa at this point, but we have two dominant defenses with, especially on the New England side, all their parts back and then some. Bill Belichick scheming against Tua Tagovailoa, advantage New England. Brian Flores, who I think is looking like one of the better disciples, especially on the defensive side, from Bill Belichick, scheming against a rookie quarterback in Mac Jones, who looked impressive in the preseason, and now the real bullets start flying. So I think there's another 20-16, 17-14 type of game. Whoever, I think if any team gets to 20, they win this game. I think defense is dominating.
Complete agreement on this one. Playing the under, really like the under in this one. Belichick stifled Tua last year. Look, if Miami was confident in Tua, they wouldn't be linked to Deshaun Watson trade rumors every third day. You see what I'm saying? They're not confident in him. He hasn't played very well. Belichick's going to frustrate him with a defense that's better than last year's defense. As for Miami, great defense. Mac Jones making his debut. Not ready to trust him yet. Under 43.5 is the play, and this game has been ticking down, which leads us to the no-huddle offense. End of the show is near, so we've got to move quick because we promised you coverage on every single game, and we've still got 3 more to go. So let's begin with your beloved Los Angeles Rams laying 8, total of 46.5, Sunday Night Football against the Chicago Bears.
Last year, this would have been an absolute smash the under. But now with Matthew Stafford in for Jared Goff, I think the Rams could provide 30-plus points in this matchup. So instead, I'll just lay it with the Rams. I think, especially since Andy Dalton is starting, huge mismatch with that Rams defense against Dalton. And I do think the Rams offense has a much higher floor and ceiling with Stafford. So I'll lay it, even though it's a big number.
Agreed. One of my favorite plays. You can play this in a 6-point teaser with the Niners if they're less than 9, but you can lay it as well. Chicago went 8-8 last year. 1 win against a team with a winning record. That was Tampa Bay. Early in the season, with no Chris Godwin, Thursday Night Football, a lot of reasons why Tampa lost that game. All right, Andy Dalton at quarterback, the ceiling is extremely low, and you're going against one of the best defenses in the NFL. Sean McVay in week 1 for his career as the head coach of the Rams. 4-0 straight up. 4-0 against the spread. Winning by an average of double digits in those 4 games. He breaks fast from the gate. Rams of the play. Game number 2, Atlanta is laying 3.5, total of 48.5 against the Philadelphia Eagles. 2 rookie head coaches making their debut.
Like the offensive environment here, also like a rookie here to go over his receiving prop, and that's tight end Kyle Pitts, who we should not call a tight end. He's a pass catcher. He'll be moved all over the formation by Arthur Smith. 47.5 is the total. I think he goes well over 50 yards. I think he's looking at 7, 8, 9, maybe even 10 targets, and if he gets that, this is way too low. Even for a tight end who is a pass catcher, I like Kyle Pitts having a big day in his debut.
I'm going prop as well. DeVonta Smith over 45.5 passing yards, or receiving yards, I should say, for DeVonta Smith. 45.5. First of all, he's got home run potential. If you saw him at Alabama, you know that. So one play could make this entire prop. But the Eagles did not trade up ahead of the New York Giants to draft this guy with this lousy roster to not get him the ball. They're going to build a ton of plays for this guy. Bubble screens, reverses. He's going to have runs, which aren't going to count towards this. The point is they are going to force feed him the football, and it's not as if Atlanta's got an elite defense. 45.5 is low. I wouldn't be surprised if he went for 80 or 90 in this game. DeVonta Smith over 45.5 receiving yards. Tennessee, we haven't talked about them yet. They're laying only 2.5. Numbers coming down. Total of 53.5 against the Arizona Cardinals.
Very simply, this is, I think by a considerable margin, the best offensive environment on the Week 1 slate. Both of these teams were top 7 in the NFL last year in combined plays per game. Arizona was 2nd. Tennessee was 7th. Tennessee has added Julio Jones. The quarterbacks are great and efficient. Tannehill's 21-4-1 to the over as a starter for Tennessee. There is literally nothing I can look at besides the fact that now Todd Downing is the OC instead of Arthur Smith in Tennessee that says we should play the under here. This is an over smash, 53.5.
This game is what I'm calling the bad sushi game of the week. It smells. It smells real bad. All right, now you see the graphic. It says Tennessee -3. There are some sports books that still have Tennessee -3. Some have moved off it to 2.5, including Caesars. That is highly suspicious. All right, Tennessee, for everything they've got, for everything they've done, they were only laying the standard 3 at home against Cliff Kingsbury's Arizona Cardinals. Something stinks about this game. I've stayed away from it for the beginning. I will take Arizona. I hate Cliff Kingsbury. As a coach, not a person. I don't know him personally, but I hate him as a coach, and I can see him blowing this game. but ultimately the line move, everything is highly suspicious. I'll take Arizona. To borrow a transition from the great Doug Kazarian, tennis anyone? We've got the U.S. Open men's final today on ESPN at 4 p.m. Eastern. Novak Djokovic going for the calendar Grand Slam against Daniil Medvedev. Djokovic
nice.
minus 250. Would you do it?
I would lay it. Our buddy Brad Gilbert thinks it's going to be in straight sets as well. He went under 3.5 games in this matchup.
This just seems cheap for a guy who is annihilating everybody.
Yeah.
So if you need to chase some of that early money, go with the Joker. And thank us later. Tyler Fulghum, Joe Fortenbaugh. Enjoy week 1. It's finally arrived. We'll see you on Monday. Right back here on Deck.